Frankie, an incredible game of football last weekend and a brilliant result. How are you feeling after that one?
Yeah, delighted. I think any win is worthwhile celebrating. And, just delighted to get another 3 points on the board in what was a very tough fixture.
Do you think that can be a pivotal moment in the season?
I think it's probably too early to say. We've played 15 games, still 31 to go. So there's still a lot of football to be played. The weather will change as well, and pitches will turn at the moment. Playing at Brunton Park's magnificent. It's a great arena to play in, and there'll be pitches that we turn up at that are nowhere near as good as that. So I think there's a lot of football to be played yet, but I think we're in a good enough position.
How do you keep the energy high in the camp after that one? There'll be a lot of effort and momentum gone into that, but how do you keep it high and keep us going?
Yeah, listen, the training's been fantastic. I've said for the minute I get in here, the manager has, embedded in us that we work really hard, we train hard, and we try and play hard. And I think that's been there. I think the camaraderie within the group is excellent. And you can see us growing. There will be ups and downs, there'll be bumps in the road, but it's how you recover from that. And I think the reboundability that the group have shown since the York and Rochdale defeats has been what we've probably been looking for. How
pleasing is that resilience that you've seen in the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, well, I've always thought it's been there. I think the manager would probably say the same if he was sitting here to tell you that. So you can see it in training. We've got a lot of hungry players. I think what we've got to do is put things into perspective from where we've been to where we're trying to go. The journey is that we've had relegation, and the task is to hopefully do our utmost to try and get back into the Football League. But it's not going to be an easy task because there's a lot of good teams here. And it's a league that I've thoroughly enjoyed. I think there's a lot of good football, there's a lot of good teams in it. And it's just one where there's so many, permutations that throw up. You think, God, how have they won that game? And how have they beaten them? But that's what can happen. I think anybody's capable of beating anybody on their day. And I think that's good for the Football League.
Did everyone manage to get through unscathed after that one?
Yes. Yeah. Thankfully, everybody's been training, which is good. So we've started to get a few players back as well from a few injuries we've had. So, the squad's healthy. And, we're looking forward to the task ahead on Saturday, which again will be a tough game going to Yeovil.
Any updates on the likes of Bevis McGarvey, Terrell Thomas after their hamstring issues?
Yeah, well, they're working hard. They've both been on the grass latterly, so which is good. So they are nearing full fitness.
On to Yeovil, you're back leading in the dugout with Mark being having a touchline ban. How are you feeling ahead of that to be back on the touchline?
Well, I'd rather the manager was there if I'm being brutally honest, but he'll not be too far away. If we can get the same outcome that we had at Wheelstone, then that would be brilliant. But, let's not be kidding. Any game that you go to here away from home will be a tough fixture. Yeovil, I think when Richard went in, he got a good bounce. I've lost a few recently, but anything can happen. It's how you rebound back. So we're expecting, a tough fixture. We've watched them. We've seen some of the games they've played. So we know it'll be tough. And we're looking forward to another, tough, exciting game away from home.
So one where we might have to be patient to wait for those openings to come.
Yeah, 100%. I think what we've done is I think we've shown that we can rebound after some tough results, and I think we've got some good momentum at the moment. So it's important we use that to our advantage as much as we can, and hopefully go and get a positive result, which we'll be looking for on Saturday.
How's training been this week in preparation?
Yeah, very good. I think, the training since the minute I came here has been excellent. I think the players buy into what we're trying to do. We've got a clear philosophy, from the manager in terms of when we've got the ball, we try and be as slick and as quick with good passing when we've got it, and when we don't have it, is to try and get it back as quick as we can to try and regain the ball. I know every game is different. But that's mostly our game plan, is to go and make it tough for the opponent that we're playing against, and when we've got the ball, to be as clinical as we can.
How important is it to be able to adapt to different situations and circumstances? This league has so many different things coming up, so how important is it to adapt?
Yeah, no, listen, you know, the teams come, there's so many different formations here, whether it's a 3-4-3, which Yeovil have played quite a bit. You know, they have adapted and changed at times. Sometimes they've changed within games to a 4-4-2, but a lot of the teams, you know, whether it's a back three with two up top, back three with a box in the middle, you know, some teams become a back five and a 4 and a 1. I think our focus is that we concentrate mostly on ourselves and what we can do when we've got the ball, and how we can try and break them down and create scoring opportunities, but at the same time mindful that when we don't have it, that we're really tough to play through.
For long trips like this, do we do anything differently to prepare?
Yeah, what we'll do is we'll travel tomorrow early morning. Bus will leave here at about 8:30, and we'll stop at Moorsham Hall. We'll train at Moorsham Hall before we continue in the second part of the journey. So it's a long journey, a long day tomorrow for us. So it's important that when we get there, that the players get as much rest as we can for the game. Rest and recovery is so important, particularly in the National League. There's so many games, but there's so much travelling that you've got to, you know, and deal with. So, you know, it'll be tough, but at the end of the day, it's the same for every team. So we're not here to make excuses.
And the likes of John Jones, Jack Ellis, Harvey McAdam coming off the bench, Harvey getting his goal on Saturday, does that give you a few more selection headaches?
Well, it does for the manager, which I think is good. You really need a healthy squad. I think there is a healthiness about our squad at the moment. If you look at the centre backs, we've lost Tyrrell and Bevis, you know, and a lot of teams might have, you know, struggled with that, but thankfully we've had, you know, Aaron and Morgan to come in and fulfil those roles. So it's really important that you have got a healthy squad throughout, you know, the areas of the pitch, you know, from goalkeeper into defence, into midfield and into attack. And at the moment, I think our squad's pretty good.
How pleased is it to be seeing Aaron Hayden and Morgan Feeney developing in a partnership in the back two over the last couple of games? Yeah,
excellent, to be quite honest. And I think if you see them, they're both leaders there. And that's massive within the game. Experienced as well, but both are good lads that train really hard. As I said earlier, you know, they train hard, they work hard, and they play hard. And you know, I think that then invigorates throughout the team. And you know, it's great to have them as your backbone.
Just how good were the fans on Saturday? Did they almost sort of pull you over the line?
Yeah, magnificent, to be quite honest. I felt they were fantastic, and I know there's a lot been said about obviously the abuse that was directed towards Robbie, and you know, sometimes any fans that I've met here have been excellent, to be quite honest. But when you do get, you know, whether it's vile songs sang at you, whatever it may be, and I know the club there's an ongoing investigation, but I just think from my experience, I don't think any individual deserves to be, whether it's, you know, being severely criticised or abused by any manner of means, whether that's done publicly or done in an open forum. It's not nice. I've been there as a manager in the past in Preston, and you know, I think genuine good fans and supporters, and there's a vast majority that are magnificent, don't get involved in things like that. So I've got every sympathy for anybody that feels as though they've been abused or received some horrific comments towards them, particularly when it becomes personal, and you shouldn't do that. I think being a manager, as I said, is probably one of the hardest jobs in the game, and these guys have got a really, really tough task without having to deal with all the other stuff that can come towards them. So I would urge anybody that's maybe done it in the past or even thinking about doing it, please don't do it. These guys don't deserve it.
But the noise to get behind the team, that was really special, wasn't it, on Saturday?
Magic, as I said, behind the dugout. And you've seen, probably I was caught up in that game more than I've been caught up in any other in my career, if I'm being brutally honest as well. I think Robbie was a good bit of banter flowing between both sets of dugouts, and I quite like that. It puts an edge to it. But it's important that it remains like that, and we can all be friends after the game. We'll be enemies as the game kicks off, but after it, we become, you know, good human beings with nothing but respect for one another. Because I've said to you, managing is a tough task, no matter what level of the game you're at.
And nearly 400 going down to Yeovil on Saturday. It's just another sort of brilliant away following, as we expect.
Listen, I can't speak highly enough of the supporters, because you think about the travel they've got to make. I'm sitting here, I'm saying don't moan or make excuses, but it is a hike for a lot of these people. They've got to give up a lot of hard-earned cash as well. You know, it's no, can't believe I'm going to be saying, but Christmas is only a few months down the road as well. So, you know, credit to them. I think they travel in the numbers wherever we go. And I think there might have been something like 8,600, if I'm right. The game, just magnificent, to be honest. 5:30 on a Saturday. By the time some of them get back home, or whether they head to pubs or whatever. No, I think they've been magnificent, and you know, hopefully they're enjoying, you know, the wins. I think in total it's something like 11 wins in 16 games that the managers managed to get the team to deliver, and hopefully long may that continue.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.